Good morning and welcome back, ladies, gents and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. We're back once again to break this thing down verse by verse into factual, logical statements in English so we can understand who or what is Allah, what does he mean by the contents of his book, and more importantly for us, how does this affect us as non-believers in the world today? So as I always do before I start, I'm going to tell you now, if you have any doubts as to the statements I'm about to make or have previously made, please first buy and read one of these. And after having done so, you'll recognise that every single word I'm about to say to you now is 100% true and accurate of the words of Allah and what Muslims believe today. So, if you've been keeping up with the series and you saw the last few, you will remember that we just went through a load of hate and foamy mouth rage that Allah is claiming he's going to inflict on the non-believers, and now in fact the apostates. As the Crusades have started, Christians have turned up, he can't kill them, and some of his Muslims are leaving and joining the Christians, and this is not good for Allah because it means he won't be able to enact his end times genocidal prophecy, which is the goal of his book. So with that in mind, let's continue. 91. Those who reject Islam will die in their rejection of it. They will never find acceptance upon the earth, nor in gold or wealth as the world contains. For them in store will be a harsh punishment. None shall help them, nor shall they escape grievous chastisement. End of verse. So we start off with more foamy-mouthed aggression from Allah, which is kind of his modus operandi at the moment, as we found out. And the reason he's saying this, those who reject Islam, that's not newcomers who don't know the Quran. Those who reject Islam are his own Muslims. So the people who he has previously counted on as worshippers who have left towards the Christians, those guys are the ones who will die in their rejection of Islam. It's the apostates that he's talking to here. He goes on to say they will never find acceptance upon the earth, nor in gold or wealth as the world contains. And the reason he's saying this is because they're not only leaving, they're leaving to join the Christians, and what they're finding when they join the Christians are feeding them, giving them water, educating them in the ways of Christ and Western values, and they are finding that they become wealthy and get jobs and their lives improve. That's the important thing here. Allah is getting very angry because not only are his Muslims leaving, but despite the fact that he's cursed them and plagued them and he's threatened them with death, they're actually having better lives. Their lives are improved by joining the Christians and leaving Islam behind, and he doesn't like that at all. So Allah is making sure they know you will never find acceptance, even though that's what you're going to get over there. You'll never have gold or wealth as the world contains, even though you will if you go over there, and you will never escape death if you reject Islam, despite the fact that those guys are. He's trying to put the fear of Allah into his worshippers because they're leaving. That's what he's doing here. And then he finishes off by saying, none shall help them, nor shall they escape grievous chastisement. And as we know, chastisement is sort of telling someone off, rebuking them, having a go at them. And what he's talking about here is saying when his other Muslims catch up with them and kill them, none shall help them and they shall not escape the telling off they're going to get. So this is a final little kick in the back towards his apostates to tell them none shall help them. These Christian guys over here who are currently offering to help you, they won't stick up for you when the other Muslims come to kill you. And the reason he's saying this is because he knows fine and well, we look after our own in Christianity. So once they've left, join the ranks of the Christians, they are then safe with us. And the other Muslims will probably not be able to get to them or kill them. That's what is made clear. And that's what he means here. 92. You shall find no righteousness nor any peace unless you give freely that which you have in charities to the cause of the holy jihad. And Allah knows all that you have. End of verse. So if we break this down, what Allah is saying here is going over there is a bad idea. He doesn't want you to go over there. Even though he previously said in a prophecy that you wouldn't make it over there, he said those guys wouldn't even be there, and he said they would have no money and not be nice. Even though that's all proven to be false, now he's saying, even though it looks like they are righteous, they sound really nice and merciful, their book's really nice and merciful, and they're being nice and giving you food, you shall find no righteousness nor any peace. And that is the important bit. Allah is saying, if you leave and go over there, we will not let you have peace. We will continually attack you and harass you, and we'll constantly try and kill you unless either you die or we do. So it is a kind of, it's not a death threat as per se, but it is threatening, it is suggesting that you will die, you will have no peace, and you will not be righteous. So we'll consider you to be a sinner if you go over there. That's what this means. Then he finishes off that verse by saying, unless, so that bit there will only happen if you don't do this bit. Unless you give freely that which you have in charities to the cause of the holy jihad. And by the way, Allah knows all that you have. So Allah is saying here, if you leave, we're going to hate you and try and kill you and try and genocide you. Unless you give all the stuff that you get from them back to us and it goes towards the cause of the holy jihad for killing those guys later. So what Allah is saying here, in a roundabout way, is don't go over there and sincerely join the Christians. Don't be friends with them. But if you plan to go over there as a spy, pretend to be a Christian and accept their wealth and their education and their money, and then give it back to me at my mosque for the holy jihad when we genocide them all later. If you do that, then you will be okay. But by the way, Allah knows all you have. So if you do that and you're secretly liking them, if you're secretly building up money so you can leave, Allah will know, I see and know all things, I am God, and you will suffer. That's what Allah is saying here. He's saying to his apostate Muslims, the only reason you're allowed to go over there is if you plan to attack them later and you want to lie to them. So he's inciting a lot of bad behaviour and a grievous sin out of his Muslims in order that they attack the Christians, and the reason he's doing that is because he can't kill them any other way. 93. Jihad is righteous against the Jew. For all food was lawful to the children of Israel except what our prophet did exclude, though they partook of it anyway. Say, quote, bring ye the Torah and study it, and compare thy evils to that which Allah did forbid. End quote. Be ye men of truth, ye follow Quran and fear and obey only Allah. End of verse. Very interesting how he's talking about his holy jihad now. So a minute ago he was saying you can only go over there and be friends with the Christians if you're a spy and you're taking all the food and the stuff they're giving you and secretly flying it back over to the mosque and giving it to Allah. And now he's saying if you do that, if you're over there being a horrible spy and lying and stabbing people in the back and stealing, that's actually righteous as long as it's against the Jews. That's specifically what this says. Jihad is righteous against the Jew, but presumably not the Christians, even though that's the people that you were saying a minute ago you were going to kill. And the reason the jihad is righteous against the Jew is what he says here. All food was lawful to the children of Israel except what our prophet did exclude. But they partook it in anyway. So Allah is saying here, those guys over there, those Jews and Christians, they're evil, and the reason they're evil is because they're not worshipping me enough, they're not worshipping me and following my Quran, they're doing things I didn't expressly command them to do, and because they do that, they are evil. So what you have to say to them, O Muslim apostates who have left and become Christians, that's who we're talking about here, ex-Muslim apostate Christians, what you should say to these guys, bring ye the Torah and study it, and compare thy evils to that which Allah did forbid. So Allah is... It's kind of stupid. Allah is telling the guys who have just recently become Christians, bring you the Torah and study it and compare it with the Quran. And the bit that's different from the Torah and his commands, that's the bit that's evil. So if you're doing the bit that's not described in the Quran, that's evil. But anything you find that agrees with the Quran, that's actually good. And then he finishes off by saying, be you men of truth, ye follow the Quran and fear and obey only Allah. So he's making the final point here. Even though you're over there, you're getting well fed, you're making new friends, they're treating you nicely and educating you, and you have a chance to escape, you won't be a man of truth anymore if you go over there. We'll consider you an enemy, we'll consider you to be bad and evil, unless you follow the Quran and fear and obey only Allah. So you're not allowed to be a Christian. You can go over there and fake being a Christian in order that you can spy on them and kill the Jews. That's what he's saying here. So you can only do this if you're serving the jihad undercover. And the way that you're going to do that is by telling them, while you're pretending to be a Christian, to compare their scriptures with the Quran and point out to them which parts of their scriptures are actually wrong and evil and try and convince them to come back with you. But obviously this isn't going to happen, so Allah says as the last bit, fear and obey only Allah. So if you're over there and they're actually convincing you, even though you're a spy and you're supposed to be bringing those guys back with you as slaves, and you're meant to be bringing their money back with you, when they start convincing you, O Muslim, that you should stay over there and not be a spy and actually become a full-fledged Christian, Allah will know, I know and hear and see all things, I will know what you're doing. And that's why he says, fear and obey only Allah, because he's trying to scare these guys out of their natural want to live a peaceful life and be wealthy and have friends. That's what this means. 94. If any Christian or Jew after this invent and speak a lie against the commands of Allah, they are indeed a demon, and they will suffer a great pain. They have no justice, and they shall see that they have no peace. End of verse. So Allah is making a very, very strict point here to his Muslims when they leave. If they leave and they're not spies, they're evil, they should always follow his Quran and worship him, otherwise they're bad and not righteous and they have no truth. And also, in addition to that, if any Christian or Jew invent a lie and speak against the commands of Allah, i.e., if the things they are saying start to get into your mind, O Muslim apostate, and you start to believe them, it's a lie. So when they say, we can offer you safety, we can offer you the Bible and you can find salvation through Christ, if they say we will feed you and allow you to be educated and work with us, Allah is telling you, no, that's a lie. Really what they're going to do is enslave you and treat you horribly. It's all just a trick. And the reason we know this is because Allah is mind controlling them to do that, remember? So they're not acting of their own free will. They're not doing it because the Bible tells them to, or because they're good Christians, or because they're nice, moral people. Oh no. They're only doing it because they're evil and bad and evil Satans and rabble shepherd Christians, and Allah is mind controlling them to attack you at a later stage. He's making sure his Muslims have no confidence in them, in the Christians when they are trying to attract them over. And that the main point of this is that his apostates are fearful and they can't relax while they're trying to be a Christian. Although it has to be said, I don't think this has been very effective, because many ex-Muslims have been turning up on my particular channel, joining my Discord, and they've been having a great time, and we've really enjoyed having them there. And hopefully they'll stick around and more will arrive. Just so you know. 95. So this is Allah telling his Muslim apostates to say this to the Christians. You must follow only the way of Allah's religion, as your father did in Abraham, not the insane pagan shepherds or the evil Satan Jews. End quote, end of verse. So, I think it's fairly clear what he's trying to say here. He's saying to his Muslims, tell those guys, even though you're being nice to me and I'm pretending to be a Christian, it's obviously not working out, and the reason it's not working out is because actually this stuff's evil and bad, and you should be worshipping at the foot of Allah. So you must follow only the way of Allah's religion, as your father Abraham did. See, what he's doing here is he's referring to a previous claim that he made, that Abraham is a Muslim, and this whole religion of Islam actually came out of Abraham. Even though we know Muslim, Musa Alim means Moses, and Alim means of the family tree of. So Muslim means Moses. The whole religion came from Moses. That was the original claim and why they are called Muslims. But he's forgotten about that. Now he knows that the Christians and Jews are more respectful about Abraham as the beginning point of all these religions. The reason he's saying this is Allah is trying to trick people into thinking that actually the Islamic faith was first. Moses was later and Abraham was first, and so we've moved Islam back in time now to Abraham so that we can say these things are all forgeries of this book which came first, even though we know from factual sources this is the most recent book and it's actually a forgery of the other books. But Allah doesn't want you to know that. He wants you to be in fear of these guys and their successes and not feel like joining them. And that is why he's saying here, don't join those insane pagan shepherds, i.e. the Christians, or those evil Satan Jews, which is obviously the Jews. Now, verse 96 is a very long verse, but it's very repetitive. It's like a repetitive chant, so I'm going to summarize it in one line. Abraham is the first house appointed for guidance to Allah. End verse. And what he's saying this for is just to make sure you know, forget about Moses, even though he was our guy to begin with. Forget about Jesus, son of Allah, although we were talking about him a minute ago. Forget Imran, forget even Muhammad. Abraham is the first point of ingress for Allah. So that's what he's saying here. The first house appointed for guidance to Allah is Abraham. And what that means is when these guys are telling you the real story of Abraham and how Abraham actually created the Jews and led to the Christians being set up, that's not true. Allah guided Abraham to create the Quran and the Muslims only. That's what he means by this, even though it's nonsense. And then we reach our last verse, 97. His holy signs which Abraham definitely did see are a truth just for you, which none shall be permitted to question or deny for themselves, or surely Allah will remove them from life. End of verse, end of reading. So he finishes up with another threat, and I feel like this whole page is primarily been about threatening people. The holy signs which Abraham definitely did see, and he makes a point of saying definitely. So there's a bit of doubt there, I find. Allah is trying to convince by saying he definitely did see them, even though no one was there to see this and there's no record of it in historical fact. Allah is telling you Abraham definitely saw the holy signs, and because Abraham saw the holy signs, that means he would definitely have worshipped Allah and been the progenitor of Islam and not these other evil pagans and Jews. And he finishes off by saying, none shall be permitted to question nor deny this of themselves, or surely Allah will remove them from life. And the reason he's saying this, in conclusion to this page, he's saying, and I quote, none shall be permitted to question or deny the Islam faith for themselves. So he's expressly saying here, if they question this stuff, they're evil demons who we must kill, or if they deny it. So even if they're kind of accepting of it, but they have questions, nope, they're evil, kill them. And if they flat out deny it, they're just as evil and bad and we should kill them too. And Allah will surely remove them of life, means he will kill them. But as we know, he won't be doing his own dirty work, O ye Muslims. You will have to do it for him, because he can't kill people on his own. He needs to brainwash you in order to do his dirty work, and that means you, O Muslims, you are to bring the holy jihad over there and wipe out everyone else, despite the risk to yourself, despite the fact that you won't be rewarded, despite the fact that if you don't do that and you join these guys, you will have a far better and more joyful existence, be educated and wealthy, and then you will have salvation through Christ. And that's the end of this video. So, I hope you enjoyed that and you learnt something. I'll see you back here at 4:15 for the next one. In the meantime, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. It's good to be back. I'm still feeling a little bit groggy. The quality is not quite there, but we're getting through these episodes thick and fast regardless. So if you'll join me back here at 4:15 this afternoon, we'll go through the next episode of Without Lies, Islam Dies. Until then, have a good day. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.